Britt Baker fans, listen up because I got a bold idea for your girl. And in this video, I'm going to tell you exactly what that idea, why I absolutely love it, and why I am calling out Tony Khan and AEW because of their booking for her. Britt Baker last wrestled November 13th on an episode of Dynamite going over Penelope Ford. Prior to that, it was a month before she went over Serena Deeb on Dynamite. She was off television for a month and a half after losing to Mercedes Moné at All In August. Think about that. In mid-August, she went over Harley Cameron. And that was after she had been gone for a very long time. First, it was because AEW didn't have anything for her. Then she had some health issues, and she was gone for a while. She was gone for the first part of 2024. She was gone for the latter or last quarter of 2023. Now, when she returned to AEW television and started her feud at the Forbidden Door pay-per-view event with Britt Baker, with Mercedes Moné for the TBS Championship, there was a lot of optimism. There was a lot of intrigue. There was a lot of talk. There was a lot of hope among Britt Baker fans. They said, okay, she's coming back as a babyface. She looks good in the ring. She looks great on the mic. And it looks like we may get the resurgence of Britt Baker. Someone in which, oh, by the way, is a homegrown AEW star, which, oh, by the way, helped keep the company going in terms of momentum during the pandemic era. Her feud with Thunder Rosa, outstanding. Her pairing with Rebel, outstanding. Her segments with Tony Schiavone, fantastic. Yet, Tony Khan brings in all these new toys. And despite the fact that Britt Baker is one of their biggest stars and one of the most recognized stars, they sorely lack using her. They suck at using Britt Baker. Let's be real. More on that in a minute. But it got me thinking. I think I have the idea for Britt Baker. I think I know what we can do. I think I got an idea that can get Tony Khan back inspired with Britt Baker. Something in which that can get his focus off of so many former WWE stars, or older stars for that matter, and bring his focus back to Britt Baker. Turn her heel and make her an anti-AEW. Yeah, I know. This is how you're going to set it up. She is going to blame the fans for not letting her get accepted, not letting her get opportunities. She's going to bring up the fans mentioning newer stars and former WWE stars while forgetting about her. Not only during her hiatus, but when she suffered a devastating loss to Mercedes Moné at All In. Where were they when she needed them the most? Where were they when she was down and out? Where were they when she was sick and ill on the sidelines? Where had they been for the last few months while she sits on the sidelines? No one asks her where she is. No one questions where she is. No one cares where she is. These are all talking points in which I think can help the Britt Baker character. These are all talking points in which I believe can set the scene for a resurgence of Britt Baker's career in All Elite Wrestling. I think it's something in which can get fans to rally behind her, to get fans to talk about her and make her seem like the star in which we all remember her as to be. Whenever she's on television, ratings go up. Whenever she's mentioned on social media, engagement goes up. Anytime she is used by AEW, they get an ROI. Yet, Tony Khan doesn't use her. Why? I don't have an explanation. Is it because she pushes back on some of his creative? Maybe. Is it because she's hard to work with? Maybe. But we haven't heard any of that. There's no credence to that. There's no factual evidence of that. There's no reports of that. So what is the issue? That is a question in which I have tried to rack my mind around for months now. As a Britt Baker supporter, as a Britt Baker fan, I have openly said that she should strongly consider, whenever her AEW contract is up, which I don't know when that is, there's been no reports about that. Someone asked Sean Ross to have a Fightful. But whenever her deal is up, I am strongly considering leaving this company. I am strongly seeing if there is interest from the other side. I am strongly considering going to WWE. They did wonders with Jay Cargill. They've done well with Ethan Page. They've done decent with Lexus King, right? Brian Pillman Jr. So I'm really asking myself, what am I doing? What is the point? And, this goes into a larger issue with AEW and Tony Khan, but it's like, he'll sign all these guys and gals, and then he just puts them on the sidelines. And it's like, what we doing? Like, what we doing? You look at Ray Phoenix. Well, he's leaving, so I'm not going to use him, nor am I going to cut him, so I'm just going to pay him to do nothing. Okay. And then there's situations in which, like others, where they just sit and just collect checks. Ricky Starks being the most notable. Same thing's happening with Britt Baker. She's been used more recently. But it's been too much. Now, look, there's a flip side of this coin. If there's a situation in which we are unaware of, in which is a medical, a health, a family, a personal issue that is preventing Britt Baker from working, then fine. Tony Khan, AEW, they're clearly off the hook. But I don't know if that's the case. There's been nothing. It's one thing when you get reports of like, well, they're trying to come up with something. They're trying to come up with something. You don't want to see reports of, we have no idea why she's not being used. Because there's nothing for you to work for. There's nothing for you to, if you're Britt Baker, if you're any of these talents that finds themselves in the situation, it's like, so what are you supposed to do? Like, if Tony Khan just doesn't want to use you, but he also doesn't want to fire you, it's easy for fans to go, well, they're getting paid to do nothing. They're just collecting a check. And it's like, you guys got to keep in mind, outside of your Goldbergs and your Brock Lesnars, these people want to perform, right? Like most of these people were on the indies and they were barely making any money. They were making $20 a night and they did it because they loved it. And they were sleeping in their cars and they couldn't pay their bills, but they kept after it year after year after year, and they sacrificed and they suffered. They don't want to sit at home and collect a check. They want to go out there and perform, right? The money is to pay their bills. The money is to support their families. But if you ask them, hey, we'll give you X amount to do this, or you can wrestle anyone on the planet, they would do it for free, right? Like, these people, they've gone through the grind. So you got to weigh that when you're talking about people, quote unquote, just sitting there and collecting checks. Come on now, be better.